Right now, as you read this, your child's brain is performing something extraordinary. Every single second, up to 1 million new neural connections are forming. 1 million. Every second. Those connections are building the architecture for everything your child will become: their ability to love, to learn, to handle stress, to solve problems, to form relationships. And the most remarkable part? You don't need expensive educational toys, costly programs, or perfect parenting skills to support this incredible growth. You just need 5 simple habits that fit naturally into days you're already living. Today we're exploring what neuroscience reveals about how ordinary moments create extraordinary brains, and why the things you're probably already doing matter far more than you realize. The first habit transforms every interaction into brain-building fuel, and it's called serve and return. Dr. Jack Shonkoff, director of the Center on the Developing Child at Harvard University, describes this as one of the most powerful forces shaping early brain architecture. Your baby babbles a sound. You babble back, matching their tone. They point at a bird outside. You follow their gaze and say, "Yes, bird. Flying bird." They hand you a block. You take it, thank them, and hand it back. These moments look simple, almost too simple to matter. But inside your child's brain, something profound is happening. Every time you respond to their communication attempt, neural pathways light up and strengthen. The brain circuits responsible for language, emotional regulation, and social connection are literally being wired through these exchanges. Research published in Developmental Psychology shows that children who experience frequent serve and return interactions develop stronger language skills, better emotional control, and more secure attachments than children who don't. When your toddler brings you the same stuffed animal for the 15th time today, your exhausted brain might label this annoying. But your child's brain is practicing persistence, communication, and trust. They're learning that their actions cause responses, that their attempts to connect succeed, that the world is responsive and predictable. Each exchange strengthens the neural networks they'll rely on for the rest of their lives. But what happens when we miss these serves, when we're distracted by our phones or stressed by our to-do lists? Dr. Ed Tronick's famous still face experiment demonstrated what happens when adults stop responding. Babies whose mothers briefly stopped reacting became distressed within seconds, desperately trying to re-engage. When responsiveness returned, the babies recovered quickly. This showed that babies expect and need reciprocal interaction. They're not just passive recipients of care. They're active participants in building their own brains through back and forth exchanges with you. The American Academy of Pediatrics emphasizes that these interactions don't need to be perfect or constant. You don't need to respond to every single sound your baby makes. But consistent patterns of responsiveness across the day create the secure foundation children need for healthy development. What matters is the overall pattern, not perfection in every moment. So when you're tired and your child is babbling while you're trying to cook dinner, even a quick acknowledgement, "I hear you. Mommy's making dinner, tell me more," keeps that serve and return going. You're teaching them that their voice matters, that communication works, that they're worth responding to. But serve and return is just the beginning. What you expose your child's ears to creates language architecture that lasts a lifetime. Reading one picture book every single day might not sound revolutionary, but the mathematics of language exposure tell a different story. Researchers at Ohio State University found that children who are read one book daily from birth to age 5 hear approximately 290,000 more words than children who are never read to. If you read 5 books daily, that number jumps to 1.4 million more words. These aren't just any words. Books contain what linguists call rare words, vocabulary that doesn't appear in everyday conversation. Words like enormous instead of big, curious instead of interested, tumbled instead of fell. Dr. Betty Hart and Dr. Todd Risley's landmark research on the 30 million word gap showed that vocabulary exposure in early childhood powerfully predicts later academic success, not because richer families are smarter, but because they tend to use more varied vocabulary. Reading bridges this gap regardless of family income or education level. When you read to your child, multiple brain regions activate simultaneously. The auditory cortex processes the sounds of words. The visual cortex examines pictures. The prefrontal cortex imagines what might happen next. Language centers connect sounds to meanings. Dr. John Hutton's neuroimaging research at Cincinnati Children's Hospital showed that children who are regularly read to show stronger activation in brain areas supporting mental imagery and narrative comprehension. But perhaps the most important benefit isn't cognitive at all. It's emotional. When reading becomes associated with your presence, your voice, your warmth, and your focused attention, books become emotionally safe objects. That positive association often lasts for life, creating readers who turn to books for comfort, learning, and growth decades later. Can the simple act of reading one book daily really matter that much when you're already so busy? Yes, and establishing a consistent sleep routine amplifies every other investment you make in your child's development. Dr. Jodi Mindell, Associate Director of the Sleep Center at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, has published extensive research showing that consistent bedtimes and bedtime routines predict better developmental outcomes across multiple domains. Same bedtime every night. Same sequence of steps. Bath, pajamas, book, song, whatever works for your family. Even when the day felt chaotic, that predictable rhythm signals to your child's brain that sleep is coming. Why does this matter so much? Because sleep isn't just rest. It's when the brain does its most important developmental work. During deep sleep, the brain strengthens synaptic connections that were formed during waking hours, essentially practicing and cementing new skills and information. During REM sleep, the brain transfers learning from short-term memory into long-term storage. Unnecessary neural connections are pruned away, making the brain more efficient. Dr. Matthew Walker, author of extensive sleep research, describes sleep as the single most effective thing you can do to reset brain and body health. For developing brains, this process is even more critical. Research published in Child Development found that consistent sleep schedules are associated with better attention spans, improved behavioral regulation, stronger memory consolidation, and greater emotional stability. A well-rested child isn't just happier or easier to manage. Their brain is literally more prepared to learn, to regulate emotions, and to handle challenges. Poor or inconsistent sleep does the opposite, interfering with memory formation, weakening attention, and making emotional regulation significantly harder. So when you maintain that bedtime routine even when you're exhausted, even when it feels like one more thing you have to do, you're giving your child's brain the foundation it needs for everything else to work. But even the best-rested brain needs challenges to grow stronger. Letting your child struggle with small frustrations might feel wrong, especially when you could easily solve their problem in 2 seconds. The block tower keeps falling. The toy car rolled under the couch. The puzzle piece won't fit no matter how they turn it. Your instinct screams to jump in and fix it. But Dr. Carol Dweck's research on growth mindset and Dr. Angela Duckworth's work on grit both point to the same truth. Children need practice handling frustration to develop resilience. When you pause before rescuing them, when you give them even 10 or 15 seconds to struggle before offering help, something important happens in their prefrontal cortex. This brain region, responsible for executive function, planning, impulse control, and emotional regulation, strengthens through managing challenging situations. Dr. Alison Gopnik, developmental psychologist at UC Berkeley, explains that young children learn primarily through trial and error experimentation. When adults remove all obstacles, children lose opportunities to discover cause and effect, to develop persistence, to experience the satisfaction of solving problems independently. Research published in Psychological Science found that toddlers whose parents allowed brief struggles before intervening developed better problem-solving skills and frustration tolerance than toddlers whose parents immediately rescued them from every difficulty. The key is calibrating the challenge. You're not ignoring distress or letting them cry in frustration until they give up. You're creating what psychologist Lev Vygotsky called the zone of proximal development, that sweet spot where the task is challenging but achievable with effort. When your child finally gets that puzzle piece to fit after several attempts, their brain releases dopamine, reinforcing the neural pathways they just used. They're learning that persistence pays off, that they're capable of solving problems, that temporary frustration doesn't mean permanent failure. These are the building blocks of resilience that will serve them through school challenges, relationship difficulties, and career obstacles decades from now. What other ordinary moments are secretly building these crucial brain regions? Inviting your child to help with everyday tasks transforms chores into powerful brain-building activities. A 2-year-old can hand you vegetables while you cook. A 3-year-old can match socks from the laundry basket. A 4-year-old can set napkins at each place at the table. These aren't just ways to keep small hands busy. They're exercises in executive function, the set of mental skills that help us plan, focus attention, remember instructions, and juggle multiple tasks. Dr. Adele Diamond, a leading researcher in executive function development, has shown that activities requiring children to hold instructions in mind, sequence steps, and inhibit impulses all strengthen the prefrontal cortex. When your child helps water plants, they're practicing motor control, following multi-step directions, and understanding cause and effect. When they sort laundry by color, they're categorizing, making decisions, and developing cognitive flexibility. Research from the University of Minnesota found that children who participated in household tasks starting in preschool showed better academic outcomes, stronger work ethic, and greater self-sufficiency as adults compared to children who didn't help at home. Beyond the cognitive benefits, helping builds something equally important. It builds what psychologist Martin Seligman calls learned optimism, the belief that your actions matter and that you can positively affect your environment. When children contribute meaningfully to family life, when they see that their efforts help, they develop a sense of capability and agency. Their brain associates effort with positive outcomes, releasing dopamine that reinforces motivation and learning. Instead of parking your child in front of a screen while you complete tasks, inviting them to help, even when it makes the task slower and messier, gives their developing brain exactly the kind of challenge it needs to grow stronger. These 5 habits, serve and return interactions, daily reading, consistent sleep routines, allowing manageable struggles, and inviting participation in daily tasks, might seem almost too simple to matter. None of them cost money. None require special training or expertise. They don't add extra tasks to your already overwhelming schedule because they fit naturally into moments you're living anyway. Responding when your baby babbles. Reading 1 book before bed. Keeping bedtime consistent. Pausing before solving every problem. Letting small hands help with everyday tasks. Together, these ordinary moments build brains wired for communication, emotional strength, memory, resilience, and confidence. You're already doing more than you think. Every time you acknowledge your toddler's babbling while you're checking email, every time you read even when you're exhausted, every time you maintain bedtime routine when it would be easier to skip it, every time you let them struggle briefly before helping, every time you hand them the wooden spoon while you're cooking, you're literally building your child's brain. Those 1 million neural connections forming every second? You're shaping them with choices you make in unremarkable moments. That's the extraordinary truth about ordinary parenting. If this changed how you see everyday moments with your child, share it with another parent who needs to know their daily efforts matter. And subscribe for more content that helps you understand the science behind raising resilient, capable humans.